Hi, everybody. My name is Bill Marella. I'm the CEO of ACTEX, and today I'm going to talk to you and with a special guest about exam FAM. We have been hearing from students and ACTEX customers about the difficulty of this exam. The sheer mass of material is very different from exams P and FM. It's a 3.5-hour exam, 40 multiple choice questions, and unfortunately, you cannot take FAM-S and FAM-L separately. So I'm here to talk to Gabe Necoechea about his recent experience studying for the FAM exam. And just welcome you, Gabe, and thank you for joining me.
Hi, Bill. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to speak with you today.
Yeah, you and I were talking a couple days after your exam, and I was learning quite a bit about your study experience. And I thought, hey, would you be willing to share this with other students? And you agreed. So thank you for that. I guess we'll get right to it. I have probably like 6 or 7 questions. My first one is just real general. Overall, how was your studying and your exam prep experience?
So I'd compare it to past exams. Definitely some new challenges on this one compared to the past exams. But there were also a lot of familiar aspects. I really enjoyed progressing each day, feeling like I was learning new things and getting more skilled at what I was studying. And that was extremely helpful on this exam because it was quite a challenging process for preparing for this exam. The exam experience itself was not unreasonable, but it definitely was not as pleasant as some of my other past exams.
Well, yeah, not as pleasant. I mean, you talked about that, before, just again, the amount of material. So what was the biggest challenge that you faced?
Like you said, there's a lot of material to cover. And not only is there a lot of material to cover, but it's a pretty widespread in how difficult questions can be. For example, in the long-term mathematics portion, a lot of the calculations would be very easy if they say mortality follows a uniform or constant force of mortality assumption, but they don't have to tell you that. They could give you something with more customized mortality assumptions, or maybe they could change the benefit amounts by year or add premium refunds. So those are different ways that you could take what seems like a simple concept and make it more challenging. So it's kind of challenging to know, am I sufficiently prepared or not?
Right. And then, you have all the short-term material and the long-term material. That's why this exam is such a beast. How'd you handle splitting, the studying between the two topics?
My approach was to study in the morning and in the evening, and whatever I studied in the evening was what I studied the next morning. So I think that helped me remember more material as I moved from day to day. It also allowed me to make roughly even progress on both components. It was pretty stressful thinking about how to balance the long term and the short term. So it was helpful to know that I was making roughly even progress. I didn't follow this exactly. I followed my interest and my enthusiasm to keep momentum. So, for example, if I was really enjoying what I was learning in short term, then I would continue to study short term until I felt the need to switch.
I like that strategy. I mean, just given the scope of it, I mean, anything more to say on that in terms of like the difficulties that you faced?
Yeah, so when I speak of the scope, I'm looking at the amount that's described in the syllabus and then looking at how much material do I need to study to be prepared for that syllabus. To me, it felt like 2 times the material of an exam P or an exam FM. This was pretty challenging from a scheduling point of view because when you're thinking about your schedule, you want to kind of have a sense for how quickly you'll make progress through things. But the more topics there are, the more uncertainty there is at what point will I reach this particular topic and that sort of thing. So I think the SOA is going to keep the syllabus big, but the test pretty small. And that also kind of relates to my previous comment, which is you need to really be prepared for a wide range of difficulty.
Yeah, yeah, and that's my understanding as well. So were there other challenges that you faced that were sort of FAM specific?
Yeah, I think FAM specific and also really specific to me as an individual. I didn't necessarily think that there were a lot of different concepts to understand. I thought there were really only a handful of operative concepts for this exam, but a lot of different cases that you have to be prepared for. So for this particular exam, I really prioritized example calculations over reading. And then when I got stuck on calculations, that's when I would go back and read the material I needed. And related to this, what I found early on in my studies is that if I tried to read entire sections of material before getting to the exercises, I would often run out of study time without practicing the questions. And to me, I need to practice the questions to really solidify my understanding. So if I read something and then the next day I tried to do calculations based on what I read the night before, I didn't always make that much progress. And so for that reason, I decided to prioritize jumping into the practice exercises first and working backwards from the kind of exercises I could not successfully complete.
Yeah, perfect. I was going to ask more about sort of like what study materials helped you the most, and it sounds like you pretty sufficiently answered that question for sure. Um, any other advice that you have that you feel would benefit students before we sign off?
Yeah, so I think we've talked a lot about how FAM preparation was different. And it definitely was. It was more challenging than I've experienced in the past. It did feel different, but really it kind of worked out in the same way as other actuarial exams, right? You have to consistently put in the work day by day, and you have to trust the process. Sometimes you don't see the progress coming through, and then one day you realize, oh, I've reached the end of my study manual. I'm starting to do my practice exams. And then when you're in your practice exams, you really start to pinpoint, oh, I need to improve on this area and this area. And then when you get to your exam day, hopefully you feel like you're doing something that you've done before, that you've put the work in for, and that you're prepared for. Um, so I just want to encourage everybody. This is a challenging exam. It will feel different in some ways, but if you put the work in consistently and you trust the process and you identify the areas in which you need to improve, I think it will be very similar to other exams for which you've been successful.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's great advice. And starting early and just sticking to that plan is just super important for for success at every level of these exams. So, Gabe, I can't thank you enough. We're gonna end it there. I hope all of our viewers liked this video. If you do, give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe because we will continue to put out other helpful videos on exam tips and career advice, things of that nature. So stay tuned, everybody. And again, thank you, Gabe.
Thank you, Bill. It was really an honor and a pleasure to speak with you.